Welcome to Been There Done That. Today we have two music performers who have been engaged with music throughout the entirety of the high school experience. I'm Pranav.
I'm Prajit.
And today we get the pleasure of talking to Kushi and Andrew. Kushi, why don't you introduce yourself first?
Hi, my name is Kushi Malkote. I'm a rising sophomore at IU. Yeah.
Well, talk about your music experience a little bit.
I've been singing since I was 4 years old. I started Hindustani music first, and then Carnatic music, and then I did a couple years of pop music as well.
Yeah, what about you, Andrew?
My name is Andrew Kai. I am currently a rising senior at Green Hill School in Addison. I started playing piano when I was 5 years old, so in kindergarten. I'm mainly a classical pianist, and sometimes I occasionally play jazz, but I've been playing mainly romantic songs ever since.
Yeah, that's awesome. So for the first question, I just wanted to ask y'all, since you already answered kind of when you started doing music, and I just wanted to know why did you guys start doing it and what kind of uh, inspired you to keep going with it?
I don't really have like a cool answer. It's mainly my parents had suggested that I take up piano in kindergarten, and I wasn't really against it, so I signed up. And the first couple of years were like just okay, but then afterwards, when I started to figure out what types of songs I liked and how to find sheet music online and how to tell my teacher what I wanted to play, I started to enjoy it a lot more. Like I discovered like Debussy or like Sibelius or people like that, and I like their music a lot, so I tend to just play their music, and it's helped me enjoy this hobby a lot more.
And you, Kushi?
So technically my first teacher was my dad. So he started like teaching me a couple like Kannada songs when I was 3, and they realized I could sing a little bit. So there was this Hindustani music teacher at my Rockbrook Montessori. And so from there I started, and she suggested to my parents that I get put in music classes, and that's kind of where it started. And after that I just liked it, so I continued it as I continued to hear more people and got more inspired.
Yeah, and I know it can be a lot of work to kind of do all of that as well as going through like high school as it has been. So how do you guys balance doing your practicing, doing your performances, and kind of the work that you have in high school, especially with college application season coming up for everyone?
I usually like set time aside every day just for piano. Like I practice on average like 30-40 minutes a day, and then I go to a lesson on Sunday for an hour. So I kind of schedule my time so I finish my work for the day to have room to do that. And if I don't, I try to make it up at some point.
As much as I'd like to say I practice every day, I usually, when I did get time, when I wasn't tired after I came back from high school, I practiced for like 30, 40 minutes before I started my homework so that I wasn't completely burnt out after I did my homework and then struggled with practicing or not practicing.
Yeah.
And I know that both of you have been doing a lot of performances as well. So, uh, what have been your most like memorable experiences with that so far?
There was one where I was like 10-20 minutes late to this really important performance because there was an accident on the highway. And I think that it was really, really stressful for me at the time. And when I got there, my hands weren't really warmed up. I was nervous. My hands were sweaty. And I had three pieces I had to play in consecutive order. I didn't do so great on the first one, but then afterwards, I'm like, okay, I only have one shot at this. I have to nail the next two. And I did. And it was a really rewarding experience just to like finish playing. You're like, oh my gosh, I did it. All the work memorizing the three pieces, and even after the slight hiccup in the beginning, like I'm okay.
For me, my most memorable performance is probably my Erenge Trum. I'd seen like all my friends do their dance or engagements throughout the years, and I was really excited to do mine. So the night before, I was supposed to get a good night's rest, eat really healthy, but instead, I think I was eating like a grilled cheese sandwich for dinner. I slept at a solid 3 a.m., woke up at 8 a.m. And so that did kind of like hinder me in the morning. But after that, like after I got over being tired, getting ready, and then actually stepping onto the stage felt really rewarding.
And Koshi, for those who might not know what like an Narengacham is, can you explain like what it is, what type of event it is?
Yeah, so it's more like for like traditional music. It's like originally I think for dance, and then it kind of transitioned to Carnatic. Not very many people do it for Hindustani music, but it's like a culmination of like the years of like music that you've learned, and usually it happens like within high school, and so it's kind of like your bachelor's degree in music, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and with the theme of it kind of being like a culmination of all of your musical work, for both of you, how would you say that you like experience with music competitions and performances and that kind of thing has kind of influenced your actual schoolwork and like your work outside of just the music world?
I think performing has definitely gotten rid of some of my stage fright. Like I was fine before COVID, but then like during COVID, I developed like severe anxiety and just stage fright in general. So I think slowly easing back into performing regularly and things like that has boosted my confidence. Not necessarily just in the music world, but also outside, like in school or just in public speaking situations.
I would have to agree as well. I had a lot of stage fright. Actually, just like singing like someone's house used to get my heart racing. And I think just like performing more and more, going to competitions helped me. And that also helped me within school as well. And especially now in college, now that for my first semester, I was taking a business presentations class, I had to be presenting like every week. So that confidence really showed through in that as well.
And I know you touched on like how music has affected you in daily life, but for a high school student who's maybe going into the sophomore, junior years, who's not sure if they can continue doing the music and school, what would you tell them as like advice for that?
You,
Um, which one of us?
you go first.
Both of y'all can.
Okay. Um, just try to find time to do it. If you're truly passionate about it, you shouldn't drop it throughout high school. Um, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought again. Um, you know what? Just come back to me. Come back to me.
Um, what was the question again?
Yeah, so basically, if someone's coming into like the sophomore year of high school or the freshman year of high school and is like, I like music as a hobby, but I don't know if I can really still pursue it with all the work that I have to do, what would you kind of give them as advice?
I think even practicing just like a little bit here and there helps, because for me at least it was also kind of like it reduced my stress. Like I think before I started practicing, I'd be like, oh, I don't want to do this, I don't have time for this. But once I actually got into it and I started syncing, it like naturally kind of calmed me down. So even if you don't have like, like 24 hours or like enough time to give it, at least give it some time.
Maybe like try to associate it with like an award. Maybe like, hey, if I finish this homework, then I can go practice and play piano or whatever instrument it is. Or another thing you can do is you can connect it back to school by like joining clubs or like creating a school band or trying to associate that with your daily life so it becomes part of the routine and makes your day like more enjoyable.
Yeah, and kind of a lot like along the lines of associating it with your daily routine, what kind of things like daily have you guys seen like change with your life after you've kind of started getting more involved in music in like middle school to high school, if anything?
These are pretty minor, but like my hand-eye coordination has gotten a lot better because I play piano, and I just think that's kind of funny, and it's helped me from the day to day. And then also I'm able to understand like I guess the intricacies of music, and I'm able to read sheet music. So it's cool like sitting down with friends, just listening to music, and then like analyzing it a little bit and just discussing and things like that.
For me, I think what I kind of talked about before, like the confidence, it helped me gain a lot of confidence. Not And also I think one thing that has helped me a lot is my listening, because especially for singing, you need to be able to like listen a lot. So when I like listen to like like a song on the radio or something like that, I'm able to pick it up really quickly and things like that.
Hmm. And I know Koshi, you're in college, and Andrew, you're about to graduate high school. So what are you guys' musical goals for the next 4 years or so?
Next 4 years. So when I'm going off to college, I'm probably going to be leaving like the Dallas area, meaning that I won't be able to go to my piano teacher anymore. So I'm currently working on this like fairly long piano piece with my piano teacher. So for the short term, I hope to finish that and then get a recording of it, because recently my teacher and we've just been recording pieces I like and then editing it and then just saving it on some drive on my computer. In the long term, though, I probably plan to just continue playing piano and maybe search for like a teacher in the local area. If I can't find that, maybe just find pieces that I like online, getting sheet music and just playing by myself. So
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, sorry,
Let
sorry. Go
Koshi.
ahead. Yeah, yeah.
you're good. For me, I took a year break for my like first year of college just because I wanted to like actually like fully like settle in and like get into my classes and stuff. But I started back this summer, and for now, I think my goal is just to like take classes and just pick up and like learn a few songs here and there on my own.
Yeah, and I know that like COVID, Andy, you mentioned that like it gave you a lot of kind of anxiety and stage fright of performing and stuff. And I know that it was definitely difficult in terms of just practicing and getting to like play, especially with like both of you learning music. So can you speak a little bit on kind of challenging moments in your experience playing music and how you overcame those?
I think you pretty much mentioned it. It's during that pandemic period where all the in-person stuff was going away and everything was online. Like there was a recital where I had to record myself playing and then send it to people, and that was kind of weird. But I think one way to kind of just get over that stress and anxiety was definitely to expose myself more. Like the following year, after like all the pandemic stuff lifted and everything like that, I started going to more recitals, taking more in-person lessons and stuff, and kind of ease myself back into the process from before COVID. And then once I kind of get into that groove, I started learning new pieces and then going to more recitals.
For me, I want to say the pandemic was actually easier because it was online. I could get away with like using my book and like not practicing all the time and just kind of singing however I wanted to because the Wi-Fi would cut here and there. And so coming out of the pandemic, I had to, start like actually practicing, actually like memorizing everything. And so going back to my classes was probably like the biggest challenge I had to overcome. And I think just like having that reality check was like my like motivation to get over that like lifestyle that I've gotten used to.
Yeah. Andrew, I want to speak a little bit on what you mentioned about kind of immersing yourself more in kind of the experience, as it would be like what would you all say that kind of your experience with music is outside of just your kind of classic doing things like Andy, yours would be classical piano, Kushi, yours would be, I guess, Indian classical singing, but also you mentioned like pop music, that kind of thing. How would you say your experience with other types of music, just other forms of arts, have been affected by your experience with your music?
I feel like with piano, I started learning music theory along with it. And then off of that, like knowing how to understand basic melodies, creating those melodies, things like that. So I feel like it's definitely fostered a larger love for music in general. Um, I did listen to music like before I played piano, but I feel like after I could appreciate like how complicated it is to actually make a song and make it sound good. And yeah, so something like that. Like I'm able to appreciate everything I listen to more, and I'm able to enjoy it a lot more.
My experiences outside of classical music have been very different. I'm always like I think through like singing in general, I've gotten like really into listening music. Like always have my AirPods in. I'm more into like R&B and like rap. That's what I listen to, which is very different from classical music. So I guess that's one change. And another change is my first semester of college, I joined an a cappella team which like was completely new to me. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that like there's definitely been some kind of points in your music experiences, both of you, where you're like, I don't know if I want to kind of continue this. I mean, I don't want to speak on both of you, but I know at least in my experience, there's been some moments where I've been like, I don't know if I want to continue this. Or I don't know if I can. And in that kind of sense, what advice would you give younger artists who are trying to continue the experience, or just like if you went back in time, what advice would you give yourself kind of about your musical journey?
I think just keep pushing. If you hit that wall of like, oh, I can't do this, I want to drop piano, just try to get over it. Think about like the payoff at the end of being able to play that entire piece. Like, no matter what hiccup you're at, like, you're definitely gonna memorize that line. You're gonna play the entire piece. You're gonna get the ending correctly. Like all this stuff, you can overcome it as long as you just put in the work.
me personally, I've had many of those moments where I've wanted to quit. I think my biggest thing is imagining what like I would be like or what my life would be like without learning music. So in the moment I might be upset, but when I like take a minute to think about like if I stop learning music, like who am I? Like what do I have to do? That's what kind of helps me continuing to go because music is such a big like part of my life.
Yeah, and I like you just mentioned this, Koshi, but like you mentioned kind of if I'm not a musician, that changes like a lot of who I am. How do you think being a musician kind of affects who you are? Because I know that it affects me and it affects my brother a lot, being a big part of music. He's in the marching band in Capel. I like was part of the orchestra at Green Hill. I play piano. I do Indian classical music. So all of these things are like a big part of all of our lives. So
You can go. You can go.
Looking back at like my high school experience, when I think about what I did, I honestly just did like homework and music. And so even like when I took a year break throughout college, I started to notice that it was at that point I was just like doing work and stuff and when I wasn't, I was just relaxing. And that's when I realized like I really need music in my life to have something to do.
I feel like without music, there wouldn't be like a common ground where I can make friends on. Like I feel like there would have been a lot of friendships that I missed out on if I just didn't listen to music. Like there's friends that I can talk to because both of us like 80s music or both of us like rap. Like if I didn't get into piano, I feel like I wouldn't have been able to connect with them on that level and then make friends with them.
yeah, and Pez, do you want to speak on kind of your experience with music as a part of your school as well? Because I know that we're like kind of talking about it extracurricularly, but you do it kind of as a part of your school and as a part of that experience, right?
Yeah, I agree with Andrew 100%. I think like the people like and the friends you make like doing music is like they've become like some of my closest friends, some of the people I do marching band with. And I think that sense of community where you're like talking about music, you're playing together, I think that like fosters a really like great sense of community. And yeah, like I said, some of my best friends are from band.
Yeah, and you also kind of mentioned this, Andy and Koshi, with like how your proximity to music affects how you like enjoy other types of music and other forms of the arts. And Andy, I know that we had you on here pretty recently just talking about your experience with film, right? So I just wanted to ask you, how did your experience with like film affect your experience with music or the other way around?
I feel like with my knowledge of music, it's definitely helped the filmmaking process. And it's made music not one of those like neglected aspects of a film where we're like, oh, we got to do this now and then just find something off of YouTube. It's definitely something that I put a lot of thought into now because I know how to play piano. And since I work with Ali, who's another jazz pianist, like for our two most recent films, I've helped Ali create an actual soundtrack for the film instead of just finding like non-copyright music. So it's definitely like it's helped me be more aware of how much music can affect film in that way, and it's definitely made our films better in the long run.
For me, because I like am used to like singing different types of music. I watch a lot of like movies with my parents, and so oftentimes I'll take some of those songs that I hear if I like them, go back, listen to it, and learn it on my own. And because I've had enough like years of like experience like singing, I'm able to like just listen to it and take that and like sing it and recreate it as well. So,
Yeah, and we also mentioned this kind of indie. You mentioned it with the friends that you make through it, and Pradip, you also mentioned it with like your friends from marching band. But I know, especially for like someone like me and Cushy, we get kind of a sense of community with kind of a local like I don't want to say affinity groups, but like a culture by doing a type of music. So I just wanted to know like if y'all could kind of speak on the type of culture that arises around that kind of musical environment, especially at like a festival like ISAS, like we were talking about a little bit earlier, Andrew.
I didn't actually perform music at ISAS, but I was hanging out with a ton of people who actually did. So I can, I guess, kind of speak on what happened then. It's really like brought together people that you don't know. Like at the end of the jazz band concert, like two random guys from a school we've never heard of runs up to us is like, hey, we're students from yada yada yada. We'd really love to jam with you at some point. It brings together people that you wouldn't expect to come together. Like Pranav, during your coffee house performance, actually, it brought together the entire audience because everyone had their phone out and then they were waving the flashlight around and things like that.
And so, Andrew, can you tell us what ISAS is for people who don't?
Oh yeah, so ISAS is a arts festival for the private schools in I think the Texas area. And so we all come together. There's different performances from all the different classes and showcases from like photography, painting, and things like that.
Um, I think I have two examples of like a community that I built. So one is through my Hindustani music. Um, like my music teacher, she's always organizing potlucks, and every year we have like an annual day, and so that's where like you really get to like connect with the people that are in like that learn from the same music teacher and kind of learn about like their experiences singing because for like me at least, I've always had like individual private classes, so I'm not able to see everyone that often, so these like moments make it extremely special. And my other example would be through Carnatic music. I went to Cleveland one year, and so usually like our classes would be 1 hour. It would be a group session for this one, but it would be like just singing, like you wouldn't be able to interact. And then right after you'd be so tired from it all, you just have to go home because my class was like late at night. So this Cleveland experience, you were basically together like every weekend for hours upon hours. And so through that, you're able to really connect with everyone.
Yeah, for sure. And like as we're wrapping up here, for both of you, what is the thing? What is the thing of many things that you enjoy most about being a musician and playing music?
I think just being able to know that there are songs out there that you enjoy listening to and you can actually play them yourself and then add like your own interpretations to it. And then on top of that, being able to understand and like interpret intricacies of like songs that you just listen to on the regular.
I think my favorite thing is just being able to sing and not in like the traditional like sense. I love to sing. I love having the ability to sing, and my best performances are in the shower. So
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you both so much. And just kind of as we wrap up for this episode, is there anything that you would kind of like want to add as a leaving thought or advice to people that are still kind of apprehensive about getting more engaged in that kind of experience?
Just go for it. It'll 100% pay off. You'll make a ton of friends. You'll be able to play songs that you enjoy. You should just go for it.
I think just try it. If you don't like it, you don't like it, but you don't know if you haven't tried it.
Yeah. Thank you both so much. This has been an awesome episode. I've loved talking with both of you. And yeah, come join us for the next episode after this one. Thank you.
Thank you.